day to all of you. Thank you for watching Behind Me Media. Again, you're watching Real Estate Reality episode number 5. So, as you all know, I'm with Mr. Riaz and Varun, who is a well-seasoned real estate broker and also a mortgage broker. So, last time on the previous episode, we spoke about private mortgages. So, we are going to continue on that discussion and speak more about affordability and coming into public questions as well. Again, thank you so much for joining us on episode 5.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure to talk to you because we are providing a lot of useful information who are trying to get into the real estate industry or trying to become an investor or a homeowner. And yes, to start off this discussion, there was a lot of people who were asking, like, why should I go with a bank when I can go with a real estate broker? A mortgage broker. And some people are saying, I can go with a real estate. Why can't I just go with a bank? People are confused, like which one is better and what's the difference? Can you advise on that?
It's a great question. That's a number one question that every mortgage agent needs to be explained. And I was a former banker as well, so I can definitely lay this out. So as a mortgage agent, we work with multiple lenders, including the major banks. So I personally work with TD Bank, Scotiabank, Bank of Montreal, Manulife, and many other A lenders like First National, MCAP, and the B lenders and the private lenders. So let's say you walk into the bank. Every bank has a different criteria and a risk tolerance. For example, the client may qualify at BMO, may not qualify at Scotiabank. I can send one application to all 3 banks. 2 may decline, one of them may approve. But as a consumer, you don't have time to go and shop each bank. When you go to the mortgage broker, they have one sub solution. They'll tell you, based on your profile, we think this is the best product for you, best bank for you, best lender for you. Or none of the banks are going to get approved. We may have to go with the B lender because you're self-employed or your credit is not a good shape. The same client who goes to the bank, they may not qualify, they may get turned down, but we may have an option for them. So what I will try to call ourselves as being a mortgage agent, it's a one-stop solution, save time, and we put the client's best interest first. And if you're arranging the mortgage from the major banks, we don't charge any fees. The bank pays us.
Right.
So there's no fees to look for it. How do you know just going into TD Bank? TD Bank said this is the best rate out there. They're going to tell you you can get a better product from BMO or Scotiabank. As a mortgage agent, we can educate the client and say, we understand you bank with TD, but we can get a better product for you from another institution. So we are going to be transparent and we are going to educate them and we are going to one-stop solution, save time and come up with a better option.
Okay.
So, 2 more things that I would add to that. Please. And probably Varun has to correct me because this is your territory that I'm moving into through experience working with others. One of the biggest advantage I see with my clients going with a mortgage broker than an institution is that when they need mortgage advice, mortgage issues, payments, everything, they will always pick up the call and call the mortgage broker who would answer the call even at 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's true.
When you go with the institution have official workers. Processing documents, doing things. But a mortgage broker, it's his own brokerage. He's going to go out of his way and he will answer the phone. He knows who's calling. Even if he's at his son's birthday, he's going to answer that call. That's a huge advantage. And the second I see is, now when you go to a particular bank or institution and when you want to talk about it, the bank is also interested in franchising you with the bank. Right? So the first thing they say is fill up a form and they do a credit check.
Yes.
And your credit score is being checked. And when you get a rate, you as a consumer want to check another bank, you can speak to that bank. And when you do, now your credit score is being hit probably few times in a month. That also may affect your credit score in getting your eventual final mortgage. So one has to be careful. And I personally always prefer to go with a mortgage broker or a mortgage provider because he is open to 300 plus lenders and may work in the best interest for you and also advising you what is good for you based on your lifestyle. The lifestyles and risk tolerance everything comes into play. So based on those, I personally would always, if I have the option of advising, I would always advise people. And for example, me and my family have multiple properties, right? And my wife works for a bank, and only one of our mortgages are done through her. Everything else I gone for multiple lenders, and mostly through Varun too.
That's a great point we brought it up. When you're dealing with a mortgage agent, they're business owners. They treat it like a business. When you work with the bank, they're employee. They have work hours 9 to 5, weekends, they're off during the day. So you are in a very competitive market right now. You're in a multiple offers. You're 10 o'clock in the night. You need to know, can I go extra $25,000 on this purchase price? Can I qualify? There are times we pull up the laptop middle of the night, crunch the numbers and say, go for it. You don't get that kind of personalized service from the bank. Okay. And I can connect, Riyaz's son Rushdie actually put a Google review on me. I was actually talking to them while I was in the plane traveling on a WhatsApp about the mutual client. So we take the business and our partners and our clients so seriously. And we also have a support system to support our partners and the clients as well. And the communication is the key in this business. And working with a mortgage agent, not just me, any mortgage agents who runs it like a business, they have a better support system for the clients and the partners.
So Shinali, from a real estate agent's point of view, let me also explain. I'm sure most of the realtors who are watching this program will also agree. We depend, when we put an offer on behalf of our client, right? We put conditions like conditions on finance, condition on status certificate, conditions of inspection. And traditionally, these conditions are 5 days. In other words, we are telling the sellers, we are giving your deposit tomorrow, but we have 5 days to firm up our finances based on the advice that we are getting from the institution that we can do the mortgage or no. Because the reason is because the institution told this person, you are qualified for 800,000, but he is qualified, not the property. They haven't seen the property yet. So as a realtor, I put the offer, I get the deal done. Now I have the property details that I'm sending it to the mortgage broker and telling him, buddy, I have only 5 days you got to tell within these 5 days whether I can go ahead or no. Only when you say that, I can firm up that offer. And now what's happening, that used to be the tradition. Now, for example, last month, between me and my son, we did a good number of transactions. 2 transactions were primarily based on, one was on 1 day's finance and the other one was 3 days finance. So 1 day's finance means that at 11 o'clock in the night we firmed up we got the deal, and next day we got to say whether we are doing the finance or verified or no. So we had to push that guy. Now we can push an individual mortgage broker because he might say, okay, you know what, if not this, I will work with others and get it delivered. But if you are stuck with one institution, and then sometimes it may take 1 week and they may not take another day. And also, when we say 5 days, even if you say 5 days, it's technically 7 days because we are counting 5 business days.
Right.
Who works during the weekends? The bank doesn't.
Yeah.
The mortgage broker works.
Yeah.
So mortgage broker, even if it say I have time till next Monday, it's not 5 days, I get 7 days with him because he's also working on it on Saturday and Sunday. As we speak. So that way I would put my hands up any day. First option, go with your mortgage broker. Then if you want, okay, check out a bank if you want to, but then loyalty pays at the end of the day.
True.
I also compare to buying a car. If you look at the car, like you can buy Honda, you can buy Toyota, you can buy Mercedes, Volkswagen, whatever you name it, right? As a mortgage agent, we sell all models. So we know which model has the best future, what suits your needs, what you need, what has a better promotion. So we can customize it rather than going to each dealership, driving around the neighborhood to shop for the car.
Okay. I think that was pretty well clarified. And again, coming back to mortgages, this is a confusing question that people have. When they get into a mortgage, they have a certain time that they have to stick to it, right? If they decide to break it, like, what are the reasons why they would want to break it for any reason? Let's say, do you think it's a good idea for them? That's what people have been asking, and this is one of the most confusing questions that people have. Why is it such a big deal, like breaking a mortgage?
So breaking the mortgage comes with a cost. It's a contract you sign for a 3, 4, 5, 1 to 5 year term, usually in Canada. Then you are pulling out of the contract. So what that happens is, bank borrows the money against the bond yields and they guarantee the investment. They borrow against the investment. So now they need to repay those investors back. That's where the penalty comes in.
Right.
So when the bond, they borrow against the investment, so they need to guarantee the investment. They guarantee the investment for whoever they borrowed from for the term of the mortgage. So that's where the penalty comes in.
Yeah, so one of the things that probably Varun will explain more, but I will lead him to that, is because one of the questions that was, why do people break their mortgages?
Okay.
Right? Now, for example, I have broken my mortgages. Right? The reason why is, say for example, I have a 5-year, say for example, I have a 5-year mortgage, and then on a house that I have bought, and after 3 years, I realized now this house has about $600,000 worth of equity. Right?
Okay.
Now I am thinking, you know what? The market is good, the future is good, real estate, religion, real estate, and gold are 3 things that I believe in. And so why not buy another house? Where do I get the money? Refinance this house. When you're refinancing this house, it is also breaking the mortgage.
Unless if you can refinance at the same lender. So let's say, for example, you have a mortgage with Scotiabank. You go to Scotiabank and you refinance with them, you don't need to pay the penalty.
Okay.
So if you stay with the same lender. So let's say Scotiabank say, oh, you are not qualified. Now you need to move from one lender to another lender. That means you're breaking the term. So life-changing events make you to break the mortgage.
Okay.
Death, marriage, kids schooling. They need a line of credit for the kids to go to school. So those are the main reasons we see it. And also on the other flip side, sometimes the job losses. Like let's say, for example, you have a mortgage with a major bank. Now, one of the spouse lost a job, but they have accumulated debts. They want to restructure the debts and they want to get a better cash flow. The bank may not qualify right now because one of the spouses is not working. Now you need to go with the non-bank lenders, like a B lenders. So now you need to pay a penalty to move from the bank to the B lender.
Right.
So most of the time, no one breaks a mortgage by choice. It leads into life-changing events, such as buying investment property, education, wedding, death in the family, schooling.
So working with my clients, one of the biggest reasons why they break their mortgage is
Investment.
they do a refinance halfway through after about 2 or 2.5 years, get some money, gift that money to their daughter or son to invest in another house as down payment money.
Correct.
Gifting, that is one. Second, they're buying an investment property for themselves. So in other words, this is a tool used by the wealthy to get wealthy, build generational wealth.
Okay. So it's not necessarily a bad thing breaking a mortgage.
This is not a bank.
Whereas they are running 5 times faster than a first-time home buyer who's still struggling to come up with funds to buy his first house. This is what I say. Real estate is to build generational wealth. Sooner you get into it, as far as you can pay the mortgage for at least 3 to 5 years, it's a good avenue to build generational wealth.
Understood.
To avoid the penalty, the best thing to do is talk to your lender who you have the current mortgage with.
Yeah.
Explore the options with them. Because they may come up with a solution without breaking and paying the penalty to get the funds you need for your investment or any life-changing events.
Okay.
If that doesn't happen, then best thing to do is look for the different options.
Yeah, so basically if you're breaking the mortgage, stick with the same lender.
So at least you can try to avoid the penalties.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I think we spoke about that. I think I would like to move into the public questions now, since we are getting closer to the end of the program as well. So again, as I said, these are public questions that people have sent in to us through our comments, through messages, through anywhere, through email. So again, it is anonymous. We will not be disclosing any private information such as name, phone numbers, or accounts. So I think, Mr. Riaz, this question is for you. A person had asked, quote, I purchased a pre-construction condo in downtown Toronto early 2022 for $650,000, and I'm scheduled to take possession in July 2025. However, the market has fluctuated, and I'm concerned that the property values might not reach what I initially expected. So, should I consider selling before possession or wait and see how the market behaves, especially with the current economic shifts? I'm unaware whether to take the risk of holding on to it or cut my losses now. What do you suggest?
Okay. First thing, what I would suggest, which year did they buy the
2022.
2022. So I have to understand this client better to give a proper answer, but I'm going to give a generalized idea. In the event had he or she bought this property for about $625,000, the chances are when she is going to get the keys to her hand, when the bank is going to value it, most likely it's going to come at around $600,000 or $580,000, the valuation. Right? In other words, they are going to fall short of about $40,000, let's say, for example, on a scenario. So in other words, when you're closing this property, you are better off to prepare yourself now by cutting down on vacations and other things to have extra funds of about $40,000 is my guesstimate. I'm giving a general practical opinion here. But it might be the other way around, could be, but I'm just giving them this as a guidance. If they speak to any of us or their preferred people, mortgage brokers or realtors, they will advise. So worst case scenario, prepare yourself with the extra 40,000. Either you can save that money in cash form, or if you can refinance or take a line of credit on your other home or whatever. I understand most likely this might be investment property, right? So they can use their funds, be prepared for it. That's one. The second one is the option of selling immediately on possession. A house, a apartment or a condo or a new development, the moment you get it, if you are selling it within 1 year, you are not getting what is known as HST rebate, or there is a HST component of about, you will immediately lose about $24,300, that's around $24,000 as money. That is a payment that the builder has made on behalf of you, assuming that you are going to keep the property. But if you are selling, you have to incur that expense. That's one. The second, as an investment property, when you sell an investment property, whatever profit that you make, there is a 50% exemption or 50% capital gains tax exemption. You are not paying any taxes on. Let's say, for example, when they sell it, if they are making 60,000 profit, then of course 30,000 is tax free. You are taxed only on the 30,000. But in this case, for example, that will not be a big issue because they bought it at 650, and if they were to sell it now, they are going to incur loss. Right? So there is no HST, capital gains tax component coming into play. However, what is coming into play is the fact you have to pay realtor fees, legal fees, right? And when you're covering this, there is also property registration or land transfer fees that you have paid. So your cost over here is not 650,000. That's close to almost 700,000. And if you're selling it immediately, you're not going to get your maximum. You're getting about 600,000 as per the details. So you might be incurring 100,000 on this transaction plus 24,000 that has to be pocketed out. So the other option that you can have here is close this transaction, rent it out for at least 1 year and hold on to it. If you look at the condominium market, we have spoken about it, Shanella, here. At this moment in 2025, we have an oversupply of about 10 to 15,000 units in the market. But however, by 2027, we have an undersupply of about 15,000 units in the market, and by 2028 there is a huge 20,000 plus undersupply. All these are going to be recovered by 2028. So it's a matter of holding on to it up to 2028. And also, if it is an investment property, whatever losses they are making from rental or whatever between now and 2028 can be accumulated and written off. when you sell for a higher price. Again, I'm not a tax consultant, I'm not an accountant, I'm only a realtor, I'm not even a mortgage broker, so consult professionals. I'm just giving you guidance. Take these to your professionals and say, somebody is saying about this, how authentic is this, how can we manage that? So I would say, do everything possible, close this. Worst case scenario, the worst of the worst case scenarios, if they're falling short of 40,000, I think in the last episode, we recorded something where Varun said, go for private mortgages. So even if you take private mortgage of 40,000, 10 plus 2, even if you pay 12%, you're only paying less than 5,000.
And that's a write-off as well.
Right? And that 5,000 is a write-off as an expense, and also by spending that 5,000, you are saving 24,300 as HST that you have to pay if you sell it.
Okay. So his concern was about the fluctuating market rates, whether he wanted to stick with his property or sell it as soon as possible.
If he has the option of sticking, I would say, if you are sticking, my advice, stick at least till 2027 end. I'm not talking, in 2028, you are not making profits, you are making supernormal profits.
Okay. So you're advising him to stick with the property and sell it in 2027.
Ideally 2028. Yes, 2027 is fine.
Okay, so I believe Mr. Riaz and Mr. Varun would have answered your question. There are more public questions, but this is the end of episode 5. We'll be coming back next week with another episode and with your public questions. Send us your questions. You can message either one of them or even message Behind Me Media on our comments, on our email, and so on. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.